Hello, Florida. I'm honored to be here at Florida Climate Week to discuss the important topic of decarbonizing corporate finance emissions in the Sunshine State and more broadly. As a coastal state vulnerable to sea level rise and extreme weather, Florida has much at stake when it comes to climate change. Today, we'll explore how aligning corporate cash reserves and retirement accounts with climate goals can help drive solutions in Florida and beyond. I'm Jenna Nicholas, the co-founder and CEO of Impact Experience. I also serve as the managing director of One Planet VC, where we invest in innovative startups. I bring extensive experience in impact investing, sustainability, and philanthropy. And this has been gained from work at organizations such as the World Bank Treasury, Green Bonds Team, the Calvert Funds, and Tonic. My educational background includes an MBA and undergrad from Stanford. I'm joined here by my colleague and co-host Yejide Olutosin, who leads our business climate finance initiative at Impact Experience. As a bit of background, Yejide joined Impact Experience in late March of this year after pivoting into banking and wealth management at JP Morgan post-MBA. Before business school, she managed energy access programs in sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia on behalf of the US government. Our work at Impact Experience is really focused on advancing equity, sustainability, and collaboration across a wide spectrum of stakeholders. Our primary focus centers around co-creating innovative solutions to tackle urgent challenges across various sectors, including finance, climate, education, and healthcare. As part of our ongoing investment and climate efforts, Business Climate Finance was launched in 2022 with two goals in mind. Firstly, decarbonizing bank accounts and employee retirement plans, starting with a group of US leading companies. And secondly, to assess and disclose the climate impact of corporate cash and retirement funds. Therefore, our ultimate goal is to foster communities of practice among companies striving for these objectives. We achieve this through research, thought leadership, and gatherings, all while applying a justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion lens.
The facts speak for themselves. Florida is already seeing damaging climate impacts and is at risk for even more severe consequences in the future if decisive action is not taken. Sea levels around Florida have risen up to 9 inches since 1950 and could rise another 1 to 8 feet by the end of this century, according to projections. Intense hurricanes powered by warming oceans, like 2017's Hurricane Irma, are also a growing threat. It's clear that bold climate action is urgently needed to protect Florida's future. While there are many important steps that can be taken, today we'll focus on the largely overlooked role that corporate financed emissions play and how tackling these emissions can drive climate progress. So when we typically discuss a company's climate impact, the focus is usually on their operational emissions from sources they own or control. However, financed emissions from corporate cash reserves and investments are a hidden yet major contributor to overall corporate emissions. For example, the 2022 Carbon Bankroll Report revealed that the cash reserves of companies such as Meta, Google, and Salesforce are directly linked to over 90% more emissions than their operations. Essentially, the banks and institutions where corporate cash sits are funding fossil fuel expansion and other carbon-intensive activities that worsen climate change. Picture this: a world where every dollar invested in corporate cash and retirement accounts is working not only to secure financial futures, but also to combat climate change and promote racial equity. It's a world where financial decisions become catalysts for a sustainable and inclusive future. Let me begin with a story that exemplifies the power of aligning financial decisions with environmental and social goals. Meet Sarah, a young professional working for an environmentally conscious company. Sarah is not just concerned about her retirement savings, but also deeply passionate about addressing climate change and racial inequality. And she wonders, at this stage in my life, can my money make a difference? Sarah's question reflects the broader challenge we face today. How can we harness the immense potential of corporate cash reserves and retirement accounts, which collectively hold trillions of dollars, to shape our world more sustainably and equitably? According to the carbon impact of US company-sponsored 401k plans, co-authored by the Business Climate Finance team in collaboration with Mercer and the CFA Institute, Americans participating in company-sponsored retirement plans, so think 401k, 403b plans, are disproportionately investing in and are financially exposed to carbon-intensive companies. This report sheds light on an aspect of financed emissions that has only recently gained attention. Financed emissions gauge the impact of funds or loans from banks on activities that contribute to global warming. In other words, it quantifies the extent to which financial resources are channeled toward actions that contribute to the planet's warming. The findings from our report reveal that the average carbon intensity of a 401k plan is 124 times higher than the average company's Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions. In other words, for every $1 million invested in 401k plans to emit 64 tons of CO2, the rough equivalent of burning 73,000 gallons of gasoline, which is enough to fuel roughly 200 cars. However, a significant challenge arises as the vast majority of Americans relying on 401k plans for their retirement savings do not have access to invest in companies that are best positioned for an eco-friendly future. While companies have taken steps through sustainability commitments, they must also empower employees and retirement savers to invest in line with their environmental goals. Decarbonizing corporate cash and retirement accounts is a critical step towards a sustainable future. By redirecting financial resources towards clean energy and sustainable investments, we can accelerate the transition to a low-carbon economy and ensure marginalized communities also benefit.
So decarbonizing corporate cash and retirement accounts is a critical step toward a sustainable future. As Yejide discussed earlier, the cash holdings of many major corporations are their largest source of emissions. By redirecting these financial resources towards investments that support clean energy, green infrastructure, and sustainable enterprises, we can accelerate the transition to a low-carbon economy. It's also important to mention that integrating racial equity into these decisions ensures that marginalized communities can benefit from this transition. Here are 3 strategies that companies in Florida and beyond can use to decarbonize finance emissions. Firstly, assess emissions from cash reserves and retirement plans to help identify priorities for action. For example, moving reserves from banks funding fossil fuels. Secondly, shift corporate cash reserves and 401k retirement plans to sustainable financial institutions aligned with climate goals. This includes community banks, credit unions, community development finance institutions, and minority-owned institutions that actively focus on climate-friendly lending and investment practices. Work internally with partners in Treasury and plan fiduciaries to add 401k options with high ESG factors and make these the default options for employees. For instance, our team under the Business Climate Finance Initiative commissioned the development of a legal opinion letter with the Wagner Law Group, affirming that integrating ESG factors into investment decisions can be done seamlessly while remaining compliant with fiduciary responsibilities. Please check this out on our website. This means that corporations can take concrete steps to move cash reserves and 401k retirement plans into alignment with sustainability goals. Thirdly, engage employees through retirement education and promoting sustainable investment choices. What we find at a number of companies is that they may have socially responsible retirement options as part of their lineup, but because there hasn't been employee engagement and education, many employees don't even know that these options exist. Employees can help shift Florida's finance sector and beyond by using their collective voice and voting power as shareholders. Companies can also support initiatives bringing community finance and mainstream institutions to scale climate-friendly lending. We can also collaborate on innovative climate-friendly financial products such as green bonds. It's important to note that decarbonizing corporate finances isn't just about individual collective action. It's about driving sector-wide transformation. Florida companies and elsewhere have the opportunity to lead and catalyze impact at scale. By working together, Florida's business community and more broadly can decarbonize finance across every sector. This will help to reduce the funding for activities that are worsening climate change and redirect trillions of dollars into climate solutions. The ripple effects will be felt nationwide and even globally.
Now, you may ask, what's the business case for companies taking action to decarbonize finance emissions? Well, there are several compelling reasons. First, it enhances corporate sustainability commitments. Leading companies have made bold decarbonization pledges, but not accounting for massive financed emissions undermines these efforts. 2, it manages portfolio risks and seizes new opportunities. The global low carbon transition is already underway and has presented material risks for carbon intensive holdings while creating growth opportunities in green tech, renewables, and more. Aligning finances with climate goals reduces risk exposure while capturing new opportunities. 3, it protects the brand reputation with growing climate conscious consumers, especially younger generations. They expect companies to back up climate commitments through their full value chain. And 4, it boosts employee satisfaction, retention, and productivity by empowering employees to invest in retirement savings sustainably. Surveys show major employee demand for responsible investing. Finally, it demonstrates climate leadership. Corporations stepping up to decarbonize finance sends a powerful signal to shift broader markets. Here's the takeaway. Decarbonizing financed emissions offers compelling benefits for companies, from managing portfolio risk to demonstrating climate leadership. However, Florida is running out of time to avoid catastrophic climate impacts. Decarbonizing corporate finances is among the highest impact levers to transform the financial sector and accelerate climate progress. Individual investors, regardless of their scale, hold the potential to make a substantial impact on decarbonizing corporate cash and retirement accounts. It is crucial to recognize that even smaller investors can wield significant influence through the power of their voice, particularly when that voice is amplified through collective action. By engaging with our employers and advocating for sustainable investment options and retirement plans, we can express our values and push for meaningful change. Additionally, as individual investors, we can leverage our proxy voting rights to influence company decisions, ensuring that environmental and social considerations are taken into account. Each of us has a role to play in decarbonizing corporate cash and retirement accounts for climate and racial equity. And I'd like to invite you to consider the following steps. 1, advocate for shifting corporate cash and retirement plans to climate-friendly financial institutions. 2, collaborate with your HR department to work towards including retirement options that integrate environment, social, and governance considerations, and educate employees on sustainable investing. And you're always welcome to engage with us at Impact Experience on any of your favorite platforms, and we invite you to join upcoming events to stay involved and receive helpful resources to drive this important work forward. In closing, let's remember that our financial decisions have the power to shape our world. By decarbonizing corporate cash and retirement accounts with a focus on climate and racial equity, we can drive the transition to a sustainable, inclusive, and resilient future. And let's seize this opportunity to build a sustainable future for Florida and beyond. And please stay in touch. If you'd like to learn more about how to align your firm's corporate financial activities, please visit www.businessclimatefinance.org and by reaching out to us at the information provided in my bio. Thank you for listening.